and especially people that are living off of welfare that don't belong here. Okay? You didn't pay into the system. You should not be benefiting from the system. That's really easy. That's really easy because it should be for people who really, really need it. Okay? Not for people who are defrauding the system. And then our last one here, Vanilla Ice, he's saying he's staying committed to the Trump back 250th anniversary concert. Vanilla Ice told CNN he's proud to perform at the Great American State Fair on Washington National Mall from June 25th to July 10th, part of Freedom 250 celebrations for the Declaration of Independence, quincentennial. Several artists like Martha McBride, Bret Michaels, Young MC, the Commodores, and Morris Day and The Time withdrew last week, citing concerns the event turned political despite nonpartisan promises. The festival, organized by a Trump administration-linked group, faces questions over $68 million in federal grants amid overlaps with the bipartisan 250 Commission, while President Trump mocked the dropouts and suggested a patriot rally instead. Let's not do a patriot rally. If this is really going to be about celebrating America, the 250th, it shouldn't be associated with anybody political, right? And it definitely should be open to all political parties that are participating. I'm the founder of the Redemption Party. Maybe if I know some people that are members of the Redemption Party, which I do, that are in the Maryland area, it'll be like, hey, please show up, wear your Redemption Party hats and t-shirts, and let people know about the Redemption Party while we're celebrating 250 years. That's it. This just needs to be a nonpartisan celebration, period, the end. And people trying to make this about our current president is wrong. Now, if our current president is like, hey, guys, we need to rally around, we need to celebrate. If he's saying that, okay, stop crashing out. Because we should be celebrating, period. But you want to crash out because you have nothing better to do. Usually, most empires, they're destroyed by this time. They're usually destroyed by 200 years. And usually in 200 years, it starts to devolve into complete chaos. And we are in chaos. But a lot of this chaos is it's demonic. And people have allowed demonic behavior and coddled it. And when you do that with sin and it gives full birth, it becomes something you don't want to tangle with. It really, really does. Now, there was an article on All Sides that I wanted to get into, and it says the federal court rules Trump ban on trans service members is unconstitutional. Now, that's really strange, in my opinion, because first of all, the contract, and we'll get into this further, the contract that those members sign, they're signing and attesting that they are who they say they are according to their birth records. So if a man is born a man, he cannot be calling himself a woman and try to get into the army, period. So a federal judge on Monday ruled that President Trump's ban on transgender individuals serving in the U.S. military was unconstitutional. First of all, there's nothing about transgenders in the Constitution, so it can't be unconstitutional. Y'all are weird. And I have to really see where they're talking about this being unconstitutional. So left and right-leaning outlets differed in which perspectives they amplified, with left-leaning outlets more often contextualizing the ban within a broader targeting of transgender groups. So here's the details. In a 2-1 decision, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled the policy was likely unconstitutional. That doesn't mean it is, because there's no supremacy clause anywhere on this. What are you talking about? See, that's what, anyway, let me stick to the script. Okay, so though the ruling only applied to the 28 plaintiffs who sued the Trump administration, the Pentagon can still prevent transgender individuals from enlisting in the military. In a written opinion, Judge Robert L. Wilkins wrote, the government had shown little evidence that transgender troops harm military operations, and that instead the Trump administration seemed driven by the bare desire to harm a politically unpopular group. So what is this really about? It's about politics. Come on. Come on. Bias by viewpoint placement. Many outlets on the left primarily shared perspectives of the plaintiffs, their lawyers, and the LGBTQ organizational leaders. The Guardian, ABC News included a quote from the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth saying, "See you at SCOTUS." In response to the ruling, outlets also emphasized harm and uncertainty faced by transgender service members following the ban. New York Times, that leans left, included the roles that the 4,200 openly transgender service members hold in military, including pilots, nuclear engineers, doctors, intelligence analysts, and more. It also quoted one of prosecuting lawyers saying the ruling will have an immediate positive impact on the lives of people who just want to serve their country, but have been through a long, dispiriting ordeal. So a split decision. Outlets on the right often led with the decision being split. One of the judge's arguments, many right-leaning outlets primarily noted that the Trump administration hadn't shown sufficient evidence that transgender personnel harm national security, and also quoted the dissenting judge saying the decision of who serves in the military is up to Congress and the president. Interesting. So Just the News, that leans right, Place that leans right, emphasized that the ban on new transgender enlistees still holds. Just the News wrote the ban was part of the War Department's attempt to remove woke elements from the military. Outlets across the political spectrum mentioned that the two supporting judges were appointed by former presidents Obama and Clinton. Interesting. So Hegseth signed a memo, May 2025, that gave active component transgender service members 30 days to voluntarily leave the military or be forced out. Those in the National Guard and Reserve were given 60 days. Okay, so I took it a step further and I wanted to check in with Grok, and I said, has the military contract, because there is a contract that each service member signs, changed, I meant to say changed, or been updated to allow individuals born as one biological sex be allowed to serve in the military under a different sex that does not match their birth certificate? No, the military has not updated to allow that. In fact, it moved in the opposite direction. It's never been allowed. And let's get into it, right? So under President Trump's Executive Order 14183, prioritizing military excellence and readiness, signed January 27, 2025, so that was last year, and subsequent Department of Defense guidelines issued in February of last year, individuals with a certain or history of gender dysphoria, right, or who exhibit symptoms consistent with it, are generally disqualified from service because it is a mental disorder. It is. And people that keep trying to justify this, they're wrong. Stop it. A man is a man. A woman is a woman. A man who thinks he's a woman, he has a problem because he's not. A woman who thinks she's a man, that's a problem. You're not. You might be more feminine as a man. That doesn't make you a woman. You might be more masculine as a woman. That doesn't make you a man. That just makes you a more masculine woman or a more feminine man. That's it. It's real simple. Now, the problem with it is some of these medications that these individuals are on makes them more violent and more prone to suicide. Let's just talk about that part. But nobody wants to mention that. Nobody wants to talk about that. Everybody just wants to get in their feelings and be like, oh my gosh, you're being so mean. No, I'm not being mean. I'm being realistic. Some people just need to be told no. Okay? No, you cannot do that. All right, now I wanted to skip down here. It says this reversed the Biden era policy. Policy are not laws because they can be reversed because they're policies. Okay. 2021.